Hey everybody, this is James with wstrades.com. Want to give you an update here on FSR or Fisker. Saw an article here on marketwatch.com and it says Lordstown and Fisker stock gets downgraded as B of A cites worries about fierce competition. It says analysts at B of A Securities kept a positive view on the U.S. car industry but downgraded the stock of two newcomers, Lordstown Motors Corp and Fisker Inc., saying that the competition among automakers is fierce. The analysts, led by John Murphy, downgraded Lordstown or Ride shares to the equivalent of sell, and Fisker shares to the equivalent of hold in a note on Thursday. Avis Budget Group, car and parts manufacturer Dana Inc., or DAN, got upgrades to buy. About 80% of B&A's auto coverage is rated at buy or hold, the analyst said, reflecting our constructive stance broadly. The analyst earlier this week initiated coverage of Lucid Group, or LCID, with a buy rating. It says Lordstown Motors got a downgrade because the Ohio-based EV maker is just one of many participants in the automotive industry evolution towards electrification, the analyst said. Moreover, it is also one of the less legitimate along the universe of startup electric vehicle automakers. Lordstown got a new chief executive last month who promised absolute focus on execution and reaffirmed its goal to sell its electric pickup, the Endurance, by next year. Earlier in the year, however, Lordstown added a going concern, warning to regulatory filings following the departure of key executives amid doubts over its order book, with the company later clarifying that the orders it had were not binding. For Fisker, the view is that the luxury EV maker is one of the more legitimate among the universe of startup electrical vehicle automakers, thanks to its relationship with contract manufacturer Magna International, or MGA, critical to Fisker's commercialization. Competition, however, is becoming incredibly fierce. Fisker is contracting auto parts, electronics, and other makers in an effort to diversify its production, a strategy some on Wall Street have dubbed as a bid to become the Apple of autos, focusing on design and consumer interfaces. It announced a deal with the electronic powerhouse Foxconn Technology Group in February and plans to have 4 vehicles in production by 2025, 3 with Magna and 1 with Foxconn. Fisker shares have lost 16% so far this year. For autos in general, a pandemic-induced supply chain crunch continues to force production downtimes across the industry, the analyst said. The constraints, however, are creating additional pent-up demand, which would lead to a multi-year recovery, they said. Let's take a look here at some price action on Fisker, and it has definitely been a beatdown for a while. You saw another run up to about $20, got up to almost $21 here back in late June. And there was a lot of selling. And then there was an upgrade that came out. I believe Morgan Stanley gave like a $40 price target and everybody piled in. And then a share offering was announced, which immediately killed that rally. So it came down here around this 13 level and seemed to want to support that until just recently the sellers really drove this thing below that 13 level and it went down here and touched this 12 level, which is a very important level for Fisker. I'm going to zoom out here on the daily chart. You can see that was a support level way back in April. So that is a long-term support level here that was touched way back in April, and then it fell through. May, this was just that big market sell-off. You saw a lot of stocks dip really low. This was actually the last time I swing traded Fisker, is when they dipped below this $10 level. I saw that price and I was just like, this is way too cheap. I'm going to have to buy this. So I bought in, I think, at $9.90 a share, and then they made that big run up to $20. It was a 100% gain for me. I sold here at $20, which was a good move because then they died again. So they had been selling off again since like late June. You can see here on the RSI that they recently almost went into that oversold area. You can see here on September 16th, we're about 34, 35 on the RSI here on the daily. So again, this price had been beat down so much for so long that, again, I was just like, this thing has got to reverse soon. And it's coming up against this very important $12 mark here. So I went long shares. I just saw this thing about to hit that oversold level. And I'm like, well, they could sell off a little more and they could actually hit that 30 level or dip below it. As you can see, that happened in April. That happened in May. I'm like, that's close enough for me. That's good enough for me. So I'm glad I went long shares because you can see this crazy candle here on Friday. And the price is squeezing. So this is going to be interesting here for Fisker. Zooming in here. As it hit this 12 level, it rejected it, had a big bull candle, big bullish engulf candle here on Friday. And with the price squeezing, Fisker could be set to pop and make another run to $20. So I would not be surprised with this big bullish engulf here on Friday if the buyer stepped in, drove this thing above the 21-day exponential moving average, and we made another run at 20 here. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen with Fisker stock here. Of course, if the sellers can get this thing below this 12 level, that's going to be key. If this thing starts to sell off again, if it can't break this 21-day EMA and the price closes below this 12, I believe we will go down and test this $10 level again. So I'll continue to keep you guys updated here on Fisker. Please like this video. Please also subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, hit that notification bell. Appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this. Talk